Hi, Sandy here. I'm still working on my 2018 vacation scrapbook. This is my second book, and I'm up to 228 pages. I'm up to day 11, and I made a list of everything we did that day. We were in San Francisco. First thing we did was went to Alamo Square, where the painted ladies are, the famous Victorian houses. So I'm going to do those next, and I put on this page is next. This is Alamo Square Victorian houses. I labeled that, and we're at day 11. So as I go through, I can go through day by day. And then I already made this page. We went to the 7D adventure. It's like a kind of a shootout, kind of like a Disney ride. We don't really ride anywhere, but you shoot stuff on the screen. It was a lot of fun. I had it out of order, so I already did it, but it belongs on this day, not a previous day. So that's going to go in after the Victorian houses. And I had gone through at the beginning, and my book was like gaping like this big to start. I'm getting to the bottom of it. Each section, I put everything. We went to the Wax Museum, is in here. The Ripley's Believe It or Not is in here. San Francisco Dungeon, we visited that. The Aquarium by the Bay, and so on and so forth. And so all I have to do is worry about one little subject at a time, and that's how I'm working my way through. And I'm right at 2 weeks, 228 pages. 2 weeks it took me to do 228 pages. So that's pretty good, I think. So my next page, I've got my beginner page on page 11, day 11, so that's on this side. So I have to make a one-page layout here of the Victorian houses, and then from there I'll be making two-page layouts. And then if I end up with an extra page, it'll be a one-page. So I have this little quirk. I always like to have my book handy, so I know, should I make a one-page layout or a two-page layout? And if it's doing something else and I'm just doing one page, they don't have to be two-page layouts. It doesn't matter. But I know I can't make a two-page layout to go here, so it has to be a one-page layout, and that's fine. So that's my book I'm working on. And I've already gone through and I spread out a bunch of pieces of, I only do 12 by 12, 8.5 by 11. I have never done a 12 by 12 page. I have for helping other people with their scrapbook pages, but I like 8.5 by 11. So I spread out a bunch of sheets of pink paper, and I laid out the photos on these papers. Just laid them out, so, to figure out how many pages I'm going to need, and I'll be tweaking them and work on them as I go. Now, this is going to be my one-page layout, my beginner page. This is my husband and my daughter in front of the houses, and this is a postcard. And before I ever went on vacation, a couple of months ago when I was planning the vacation, I made a bunch of tags and borders, and this one has Victorian houses on it. I made it just for this attraction, whatever you want to call it. So that's going to go here, and I put a mat behind this picture. So I'm ready to start gluing, and I use glue sticks. I don't use tape. That's just me. You should do things the way you like to do them. And this, whenever I get a greeting card in a colored envelope, I use this little mat that I made, and I make a photo mat. That's my pattern, and I save all the colorful envelopes, but they're probably not acid-free, but I'm really not very concerned about that. That's up to you how concerned about acid-free you want to be. It's probably a good idea to worry about it, but I put lots of things on my pages, newspaper articles, postcards, all kinds of things, and I don't really know if they're acid-free. If I want it on my page, I'm going to put it on my page. And page protectors are plastic page protectors, even cheap ones, I believe, are acid-free. The acid is usually in paper and other things, not really in plastic. So, I got my mat down. When I glue mats and embellishments and other things down, I glue all the way to the edges and swoosh it around the mouth. But my photos, I just get a little bit in the middle. Because in the past, I have redone some of my scrapbooks, and I was able to peel up those photos with the glue and not do any damage. There might be slight tears on the back, but the pictures were fine, and I could reuse them. I just like glue sticks. That's just me. But don't buy that no cheap glue. I always use Elmer's. Don't buy the Rose Art brand or Play School brand. Use a quality brand like Elmer's. And make sure it says acid free. I do go that amount of trouble. I'm not going to spread something that's not acid free on everything that I put into my pages. And now this, just put that San Francisco. Just put that right there. And that's all it needs. That page is done already. And on to the next 2 pages. And on the 8.5 by 11, 3 photos don't fit, so I always trim them down. And make them fit. Crop my photos. That's what I do. Sometimes there's stuff on there that you don't want to cut off, so you don't want to crop those. You got to be kind of careful with your cropping, of course. Okay, that's ready. Now, this is a postcard, and the rest are my photos. I'm not going to crop the postcard. Well, you know what? I am going to crop the postcard. I'm just going to cut a little off the top. It's mine. I can do what I want with it. See, it looks just fine. Now, how much do I need to crop off of this one? You know what? I'm gonna. I'm not ready to glue yet. I'll crop that one in a little bit. Now, I've got these 2 sheets of Victorian paper. This one says Paris, but that doesn't matter. It's pink. Got kind of a pink tinge to it, sort of. This is Victorian style ads and things on this, and back in the time of the Victorian houses. So I'm going to use these for borders. And this is what I do. I do this same layout over and over again. I do a lot of other layouts too, but I do the same layout a lot. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about creative layouts. I just get to work and get my stuff done. So this is 12 by 12 paper, going on 8.5 by 11 paper. So I got to trim the top off. So I trim off. There's the 1-inch mark right there. You probably can't see it. And then I go on to the next mark because I like just a slight margin around my borders. And then that's a strip that I'll use to make more borders later. I save that. And then I go at 2.5 inches. I think I'll use one of each on this page. I don't want to trim this top off, and I don't want to trim this bottom off. So I'm going to go ahead and trim the 2.5 inch first, and then trim the 2 inch off later. I won't have my long strip to use later for a border in the future, but that's okay. I do have this nice little scrap. That'll look good on something. I use the tiniest scraps. Now, I think I prefer this on this side. I like that. So, I'll get the gluing. And I just love Victorian houses. This was like my favorite attraction, and it was free, with free parking. We had to walk around, park around the corner and walk about a block, even early in the day. But that's all right. Okay. Now here's what happens with these. I always end up with a little margin around. Looks like a built-in photo mat, more or less. I should have wrote something on here. This is... I don't want to write sideways. I'm going to write like this. Alamo Square. I have a lot of letters, but I don't hardly ever use them. I just write stuff on there. And I'm going to write Painted Ladies. There. Now I'll glue this down. See, and I cut up my 12 by 12 sheets of paper, and I usually start with a solid background, and so that stretches my printed paper, although I do have 3 full file boxes full of printed paper. But I don't have to go buy more, even though I would like to. So I'm going to glue this one down that I've already cropped. Then I'm going to glue down the postcard. Okay, and then I'm going to crop the sky off of this one. Maybe I'll crop right here under the date. And then get a pen, make sure it writes, and lay this where with the spacing I want it to have, and right there I want to crop it. I don't have very many fancy tools. I have a few punches. I have some stamps that I almost never use. But my paper trimmer, that's your #1 tool. I use the heck out of that tool. Okay. Now, I have this. I didn't even make this for the trip, but I like to make tags out of scraps and stuff. And I have this. I spilled a little bit of tea on it. It's got a watermark on it now. But you know what? I think that gives a little character, a little vintage character. So I can place this right here. So I'm going to do that. And I keep them in a in a book that I made. This is my tag book, and whenever I make my tags, I have a section for each color, and I just put a little piece of glue, little bit of glue on the back and stick it in there so that I can see what's in there and flip through. So put that back. So there's a little bit of paper stuck to the back of it for where it was glued in there. So tear that off. And I use, this is from a scrapbooking pad, the cover. I use cereal boxes. I use all kinds of things. And then I glue leftover scrapbook paper. This is actually gift wrap on this one. Alright, let's put that on there. Got my little Victorian houses there. And that's done. I got 3 pages done already. This is my style. This is how I like to do it. Let's see. I don't want this page just yet. I want this page. Now this is going to be a 2-page layout of Alamo Park across the street. I think I want this photo first because that's my husband walking up the stairs as we arrived at the park. And then this is my daughter walking up the stairs. And then this is my daughter and I at the top of the stairs. So I gotta crop those. I don't really want to cut too much off of these stairs because I like the look of how big they are. Yeah, I don't have to cut much off. I'm going to cut a little bit of the top part. I can keep the stairs because that's a, you know, everything's steep hills in San Francisco, and even getting up into the park is a steep hill. Okay, so there's that page. How did I end up with an extra photo? That's weird. Well, maybe I can get 4 photos. Oh, no. Well, this photo, it's got a lot of sky and it's got a lot of park, but I'm going to just kind of trim that pretty thin. I don't do that often, but I'm going to do it. So maybe I can get 4 photos on this page. Okay, this one is, I don't need these cars. Trimmed off a little bit of the sky, and this will go on this side. My border will go here. Oh, I like that there. I can trim off that trash can, some of it anyway. This, I want to keep how this sidewalk goes. I can trim off. Let's see how this fits. I'm going to trim off some of that. We're going to get 4 photos on this page. Trim off some of the sky. Almost there. I'm going to trim this a little bit more off. There. Now, look at all these strips I have. This is just a little bit from the last several pages of cropping photos. Okay, now I need another 12-inch, another 2.5-inch strip for each side. I'm going to have this on here for this page. Trim that down to 2.5, and then trim the bottom off, And obviously I want this corner on the corner. And then this. Usually, oftentimes, most of the time, I will use the same pattern on both sides of the page. But I decided to change it up a little bit today. Now time to start gluing. I thought about making a stand-up desk. They do have those things you can, they're like big cups you buy at Walmart that you put under your bed, and you can raise up your bed or things. And a friend of mine brought a set of those to a crop one time and raised the table so that she could stand up and crop. And she hasn't brought them back, so I don't know how well she liked it, but it'd be worth trying. No, those aren't very expensive, I don't think. Okay, my things are mixed up, but that's okay. I know where they belong. This one goes down here. Oh. I like to, it's easier to just go down the row, but I like to do the top and the bottom first. And then I can get the middle one centered. I like that staircase. That's pretty nice. I think, you know what, I'm going to leave a little gap right here. Then I can write Alamo Square here. Works for me. Now this is going to be 4. Oh, this goes over. Well, I'll do that. I gotta get it out of here. So now I'm gluing the back of my tag. Sometimes I add strings, sometimes I don't. I do have a lot of these nice fibers. A friend of mine gave me a whole bunch of them, and I would have never gone out and bought them. So I put this right there. And yes, I did get glue on the front of my photos, but I do have all of these digital on my computer if I want to reprint them for some reason. So that page is done. I like it. 5 pages done already. And then going to start by making my borders on this page. 2.5 inches. Trim off the end of this one because it's still 12 inches. Okay. It says Paris, but that's okay. I don't mind. But this, I really like that. Maybe I'll cover that up with my tag. We'll see. Okay, time for gluing already. Oh, I keep opening this one. I gotta get this off the table. Look at this. My 128 pages so far, plus what I'm working on now. This is all the glue sticks I've used. At $1/4 a piece, that's like $5 or $6 worth. How much tape would I have used? Which I think tape costs a lot more money. And my family teases me, what do you do with all that glue? I tell them I eat it. It's our big joke in the family. So. There really isn't a lot in those little glue sticks. Whenever I'm working on the project, like going through my scraps and making tags and stuff, I just accumulate those empty things and to see how much glue I use, and then when I finish the project I just toss them. It would be nice if I could recycle them. They are plastic, but I don't think they would go in the recycling bin. Okay. Time for some cropping. Just a tiny bit off of this one. Yeah, you know what, this is slightly crooked. I don't know why. I'll straighten it out a little bit, but if it turned out crooked, I do like the homemade look, so I just don't fuss. I don't take a long time making decisions. Oh, what paper should I use? Oh, that paper would look better. No, this one. I don't go back. Okay, that'll do. There, I'm using that one. That's how I make my decisions. Okay. I'm not gonna trim this one at all. Put that right there. That's a postcard, obviously. It says San Francisco on it. This I can trim a little off the sky. Maybe a little off the ground. I don't want to, because I don't want to crop this one very much. I'm one of those people that just, if I like my photo, I will print it, and if I've printed it, it's going in the scrapbook. And if I don't want it, I'll just delete it. I crop all of my, I've scrapped all of my photos. There's my daughter standing in front of the houses. Okay. Now, where do I want this tag? I think right there. Then I'll cover up the Paris, which has nothing to do with the Victorian houses. That works for me. There. Now, one more to go. This will be a single page layout. And I'm going to use this. I want this shoe on there. And it's going to say Paris, but I don't care. Maybe I'll crop that off. Yeah, there's a good idea. So I got to turn it upside down to get over here to my 2.5 inch mark. Ta-da. Now, I am going to cut this Paris off, but it's still going to be a little bit too long, so I have to mark it where I want to trim it again. Turn it over and mark it on the back. Yeah, that looks nice. Now, I'm going to trim the grass off in front of this. There, just that much. I don't want to trim any of this off, and there's my husband and daughter, so I don't want to trim that off. Might have to trim a little bit, but hopefully if I trim it right here at this guy's chest, let's see what happens. That's what I lost. No big deal. And trim it ever so slightly more. Just that much more. Because I like to have my margins around the edges. See, that little bit makes a difference. Now, gather up all of these photo parts that I cropped. Get those put away. I need something here. So I make glue books too, because I'm caught up with my scrapbooking. I've got my vacation scrapbook to work on now, but soon I'll be caught up. And this is what I do when I'm not scrapbooking. I make glue books. So I have these are out of magazines and all kinds of places. Maybe I've got a Victorian house in here. No, not in there. I've got this folder full of landscapes and buildings. And I think I have some Victorian houses someplace. Where are my buildings? Oh, there. This is my... Okay, I got a folder within the folder. That's my landscapes. This is my buildings. Okay, now we're talking. This was another project I did. All the little things I have of these flowers, birds, all kinds of things. I glued them onto just colored paper scraps and then cut them out with decorative scissors. And these make very nice embellishments. Oh, look at this. It's not wall-to-wall houses like that, but there's a nice Victorian house, and I'm going to add that to my page. And I don't worry, it's orange on pink. I don't worry a lot about it, but it'll work. Unless I see, oh no. Oh, look at that one. That's the one I'm going to use. Yes. And the rest are kind of too big. Look at that one. Okay. I try to keep my stuff as organized as possible so I can find stuff when I need it. And right now I'm going to refile this folder. I like to keep my area clean and organized. Okay. There. Well, I don't know how long this took me, but I think it's less than an hour. So here we go. We got 8 pages done. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. 6, 7. 8. So now I will put those right into my book. And thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Bye-bye.